will you do as a school board to work with teachers, students, and the community at large to protect teachers and public schools?
Well, I'm glad we live in Illinois and not in Wisconsin. I believe in collective bargaining with all public employees, including teachers, especially teachers. I do think that the kind of thing we have to be vigilant about in Illinois is there have been proposals to restrict the right of teachers to strike. And I oppose legislation, this is a double negative, I oppose legislation prohibiting teachers from striking because I think that the community is an effective check on bad teacher strikes. That teacher strikes can only succeed with the support of parents, and it's been my experience that parents are pretty good judges of who's in the right in a fight between school administrators and teachers, and so I would rely on that as a safeguard, and so I think the particular danger that we're facing in Illinois is that legislation, and that would be my position.
Thank you. Jane?
Well, I think it really is about the relationship between the board and Teachers Council, and having a good back and forth, having good communication between teachers and the administration and the board is absolutely essential, and I think we do a pretty good job with that.
Thank you. Cherie?
Could you please repeat the question? Thank you.
Presently in our country, public schools, public education, teachers' rights, etc. are under attack. This is happening in Wisconsin, in Indiana, and soon in Illinois. What will you do as a school board to work with teachers, students, and the community at large to protect teachers and public schools?
I think that we're lucky enough in this community to have really great relations between the board. I think our community and our teachers. I think teachers are definitely. I think our teachers are lucky. Their pay is pretty competitive, but I think overall teachers are underpaid and underrated. And I think that, or not underrated, but underappreciated. I think that a lot of this is hypotheticals for us. It's kind of hard for me to answer because it seems like hypotheticals. I think I'm going to always be an advocate for teachers, and I think that they need to have rights. They need to have great pay. They need to have insurance because they have one of the most important jobs in the world. They're producing tomorrow's leaders. I do have to say this, and I'm sure it's controversial, but I think that teachers are such an important part of our society that it's a really difficult thing for me to think of them striking. I can't take a stance either way right now, but I have a hard time with that. But I don't want them disenfranchised, and I want them to have their rights. So, yeah, I think I would support teachers. I think that they have the right to collective bargaining. I'm always so afraid of the whole strike thing, but I do think in Evanston that we have a really good relationship with teachers, and that I don't see that happening to us, hopefully now or ever.
Thank you. Mark?
What's happening in Wisconsin, that's probably the only example I need today. It doesn't need to be that way, and it shouldn't be that way. And in Illinois as well, let's talk about Evanston. In Evanston, there's no need for that level of rancor or putting the burden and blame for big economic woes on public employees. If you do the math, if you really dig into it and do the arithmetic, it's not that big a problem in terms of the pay and the benefits and all that. I mean, you can argue the whole thing, but in terms of fairness, look, we need to pay teachers what they're worth as professionals. We need to pay them like their counterparts that are similarly positioned in business get paid, in the private sector get paid. And the fact is, if you add it all up, the cost of their pensions, and the cost of their benefits, and the cost of their salary, and so forth, and even do the differential for number of days they work and all that, they're not overpaid. They're not. The problem is, the reason that the pension funds are in bad shape and all that, it's not the fault of the teachers, it's the fault of the legislators and how things have been handled in terms of funding and pay raises at the end of terms and all those kinds of things. So, the other thing is, I don't tend to judge any of our employees by their status as union members. I think we judge people by how they act. And how it's always seemed to me it's been in Evanston is we've had a terrific relationship with the Teachers Council, and they've been a real partner, and I would expect that to continue.
Scott?
Well, just to reiterate, teaching is a profession. You know, teachers are not laborers, they're professionals, and we need to treat them as such. With regard to the situation here, this is relatively hypothetical because we do have a good relationship with our teachers union. I credit that to the transparency in which the administration and the board have worked with the union. You know, that establishes trust. With the trust, there's a good relationship. So this is relatively hypothetical because I don't see us anywhere close to the Wisconsin situation. Now, with that said, I have gone on record to say that I would not like to see teachers strike. To reiterate that, I would say this. At the end of the day, a strike hurts the students. Students are out of the classroom. Students are not in the classroom, they can't be educated. Students are not being educated, we're failing. That's the basis of the statement I made earlier, and I stand by it. That says nothing about teachers not being professionals.